Hello, everyone. We're going to give our audiences a few seconds to join in. We'll start in about 10 seconds from now. Awesome. Uh, Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Thought Leadership Series. I am Rohan Salvi from Verdantis, and today we are talking about the topic that's critical to operational resilience and profitability, especially in the fast moving consumer goods sector. We'll explore how preventive procurement, particularly in maintenance, repair, and operations, now the way we like it, MRO, is a strategic lever for uptime, cost efficiency, and supplier innovation. To unpack this, I'm thrilled to have with me Marcio Simao, Procurement and Operations Director, with a deep experience in global procurement transformation. He has led several initiatives at Kraft Heinz, ABI InBev, Heineken, overseeing teams across continents and delivering measurable improvements in automation, contract compliance, and cost savings. Marcio, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rohan. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to diving into the topic. Me and MRO, we go way back in time, right? It's very related to my first experience in procurement after 10 years managing industrial operations in breweries, right? So talking about operation efficiency, when you approach MRO proactively, it can become a competitive advantage to companies, right? So very glad to be here. I know Verdantis. I saw a few episodes of the Thought Leadership. I really like the show and really happy to be here. Hope we can help with some insights to the crowd here.
Thank you so much, Mario, for taking this time today. Coming to the FMCG industry, right, where margins are tight and disruptions ripple across the entire supply chains. It's not just about cost, but it's also about keeping the operation running, innovating with the suppliers network that is developed over the years and making smarter decisions. I often hear, when plant managers or operation leaders saying, "We are firefighting day after day." They feel that they are stuck reacting to problems rather than working with tools or processes. They are very proactive in measure. Procurement teams too are often looking at tactical support rather than strategic partners when they're looking at the vendors network. I'm curious, when you look at organizations that are still stuck in this cycle, what do you think prevents them from embracing preventive procurement, and how procurement led that changes?
Okay. I think the biggest barrier is cultural, right? So procurement in many organizations is still seen as a tactical function, brought in only when something breaks, something goes wrong, right? Instead of being part of maintenance planning from the start, right? So as an example, at ABI, we changed that by integrating procurement into operational planning calendars, right?
Okay.
And once leadership sees that reducing downtime directly protects revenue and market share, the perception shifts, right? From cost controller to value creator.
Okay.
I think, of course, that needs to come with trust and positive intent. But as procurement, we need to show that we are not siloed, right? Aiming for the same results and the value that we bring to the table, right? Once they recognize that value, then the game changes.
Okay. Okay. So perfect. Noted. Thank you. And agreed. Once organizations realize the importance of planning ahead, then coming to the next challenge, right, is how to make it happen at a scale. I've seen teams struggle with governance frameworks, trying to balance structure with agility. Now you have led such transformations with automations, KPIs, and shared services have been implemented across different continents. So, from your experience, how do you ensure that preventive procurement is both structured and adaptable for the business?
I think it's all about balance. So you do have a global structure, but you need also local flexibility.
Mm.
I know that's definitely easier said than done, but from my experience, you need to involve and engage the local teams in early stages, whatever project or initiative that you're going to be tackling, right? They need to feel like they're part of the solution. They're building the solution together with global
mm,
teams, right? So at Kraft Heinz, for example, we design global playbooks and common KPIs, but then we allow regions to adapt execution and thresholds to their realities, to local realities. We had pilots and celebrations to quick wins, which actually creates trust and buy-in from the team. And then the teams, they can see that governance is not all about bureaucracy, right?
mm.
But it's an enabler. And as a global team, we need to act more as a support and
Yeah.
remove barriers function than command and control, right?
Mm.
So once you do that, once you achieve that, then you can accelerate adoption.
Awesome, excellent. I like that point actually. And from but once the leadership agrees that it's important, the next challenge is certainly the implementation part, right? And it scales through the entire organization through multiple processes. So when you led procurement transformation, how did you approach building frameworks that work across different regions?
Okay, good question, and I think that's very related to the previous one, right? So I think the key here, Rohan, is to create the global backbone, right? So you set the processes, the KPIs, compliance metrics, but then you need to empower and support the local teams to drive execution, right?
Mm.
Again, in my past experiences, this avoided the perception of a top-down model, and then it gave local teams ownership
Mm.
of the whole thing. Both at Kraft Heinz and ABI, we piloted frameworks
Mm.
regionally before scaling globally, which actually build confidence between and amongst both sides, right? So
Okay.
regions and global. That way, we capture a scale without losing agility, right? Uh, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, noted. Thanks so much. So now, I think from a enabler perspective, one big enabler of preventive procurement is the data that is required for forecasting demand, understanding usage pattern, then planning maintenance ahead of time. But in many organizations, data lives in silos, and it is not trusted to certain extent as well. I had loved to hear how you have helped teams leverage data to create smarter sourcing plans, and how do you bring the forecasting analytics into the maintenance planning in a way that gains buy-in from both operations as well as the finance teams?
Okay. Yeah. So, well, data, you brought data in. Data is only valuable if it's trustable and actionable, right?
Mhm.
So, I've led data cleansing and governance initiatives in MRO for Latin America, again, both in ABI and Kraft Heinz most
Mhm.
recently. And later we escalated to other zones, given all the improvements that we got regionally from those operations, right? So as an example, we discovered that on the average, over 30% of inventory was duplicated or obsolete.
Oh,
That's
okay.
very expressive, and that impacts directly cash flow, working capital, those kind of things, right?
Correct.
And there were materials, if you can believe that, with more than 20 codes for the same material. So
Mm.
that's nonsense, right? So cleaning and standardizing freed up working capital and reduced emergency buys as well, right? But what really secured buy-in from finance, from stakeholders, and so on was showing impact first.
Mm.
Building a powerful business case with data, with numbers, right? You need to own the numbers, but also then in practical terms, fewer breakdowns for operations, more predictable cash flows for finance, right?
Mm.
So that means translating analytics into actionable decisions per se.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. And now another area where I think preventive procurement can unlock value is through suppliers network, right, or supplier partnerships. Many organizations still approach supplier purely through negotiations, but there is an opportunity to build innovation together, to build that trust, especially in sourcing parts and services that impact operations and the sustainability goals for the organization. So you have led initiatives where suppliers were brought in as collaborators rather than pure vendors. How do you foster that kind of relationship and that type of partnership? What are some examples where working together has delivered real results?
Okay, so this is a topic that really pleases me, and we could spend hours
Mhm.
just talking about it, right? And I think innovation nowadays is something that's really necessary for procurement as we move away from uh, just price or financial levers on negotiations, right? So I can mention a few different initiatives here that I have experience with in my background, right?
Mhm.
So first, as an example, we brought OEM and OMM global suppliers, so the most strategic one, the biggest ones, into discussions about durability, consumption,
Mhm.
reliability of materials, right? So with some, we managed to extend the life cycle
Okay.
of industrial components, reducing, of course, downtime and consequently COGS and margin and improving margin, right? And another point, later stages, I've led reverse engineering initiatives and fairs with
Mhm.
AMM suppliers. So we needed to develop cheaper solutions, but
Mhm.
also faster solutions with local and regional suppliers to deep dive into how we could better engineer original parts, right? Big success, to be honest. And then finally, just not moving away from MRO or indirect materials, we have done a few value-added days, right? So
Okay.
uh, we would pitch to critical suppliers our pain points, and
Mhm.
that could be actually that was done mainly with packaging, ingredients, and so on. What are the pain points or what are the levers that we need to tackle, right? And
Mhm.
then they would bring us back alternatives and innovation to those problems, some
Okay.
short, some long term that we could apply, right? I think that the main point here, Rohan, is suppliers are just vendors, right?
Correct.
They can really become source of competitive advantage to the
Mhm.
business.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Noted. And uh, you know, from procurement, traditionally, uh, procurement is looked at as a cost center, right? Another aspect where we have a traditional viewpoint, but increasingly, it is also being looked at strategic partner, especially in the industries where operational efficiency and innovation are treated as the kind of the the pillars of success, or are considered critical. Now at the same time, when downtime can meet huge losses, leadership is often under pressure to prioritize short term fixes over long term planning. How can procurement leaders shift that mindset and build a case for preventive maintenance sourcing as a strategic initiative and not just an expense?
Okay, so what I learned through the years is we need to speak the language of business, right?
Mhm.
So every hour, so we need to try to translate our day-to-day routines and the things that we do
Mhm.
uh, into their language, right? So every hour of downtime equals lost sales, lost shares, lost EBITDA. So they need to know what we're talking about, right? And
Mhm.
that's going to depend on the stakeholder we're talking to, right? So,
Right.
but when I mean those financial KPIs, I mean finance, I mean CPO, but
Mhm.
mainly strategic partners as well, right? So at Kraft Heinz, we use financial metrics to show that investing in critical spare parts was really about protecting revenue. That's what's
Okay.
important for the business, right?
Correct.
When a CFO, for example, sees preventive sourcing as insurance for profitability,
Mhm.
the mindset changes. But this visibility, and again, that was like that 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and it's still a bit nowadays, right? The visibility is a major gap in organizations, right? How do we
Mhm.
show the business the value that we're bringing, right?
Correct.
And I got a good example here. So recently, and this is something that I've been doing now, I have partnered with a startup. The startup is called Clouvi.
Mhm.
It's a very early stage startup for now, But then the founder main pitch to me was something that echoed in my mind. CFOs are blind to the value that procurement brings to the business. We're going to remove that blindfold, right?
Mm.
So we're going to give full visibility to the whole organization on what procurement brings to the table and actually streamline the whole thing. So now what we're doing is we're building this end-to-end source to pay platform that is
Mhm.
going to address not only this issue, but streamline the whole operational efficiency, right?
Gotcha.
And with increasing complexity globally, this is going to be key.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes. Coming to another topic, I think this is closer to us. Supply chain today is far more complex than they were, a decade ago. Okay, with geopolitical shifts, with climate risk, even the new regulatory pressures that affect the overall sourcing decisions. How do you see these external factors influencing the way organizations approach preventive procurement in the coming years?
Well, I think it's all about resilience. We need to amplify the need and how we treat resilience in the supply chain, right? So, and I
Mhm.
think preventive procurement here is not just about efficiency, but risk management. So, how we diversify suppliers, how we build more strategic stocks, how we anticipate needs and compliance, for example, right? So one thing that I learned in ABI
Mhm.
is that companies that thrive are those who prepare before disruption hits, right? So if you're constantly acting or working in the crisis mode, when the crisis come, you're gonna be prepared to just go through that as if nothing happened, right? So uh, put it simple, translating to MRO means anticipating the needs and availability of the right parts in your inventories.
Mhm. Perfect. Perfect. Noted. Noted. And that's a good topic. MRO inventory. Again, it often sits quiet in the warehouse, right? But when parts aren't available at the right time, it can bring entire operations to a halt. Okay, and there is a huge scramble to get it right, and to avoid the production downtime. But from your experience, why do you think companies still struggle in optimizing MRO inventory? What's at stake if they don't get it right?
So I think many times, actually more than often, MRO is seen as overhead, right, and not a strategic
Hmm.
asset. Uh, and with that, you get bloated inventories in some areas and shortage in others. And then you either get, huge working capital in one
Mm,
side, but on the other side you get lost revenue from downtime, right? So when MRO is optimized, it becomes a lever for liquidity and continuity, right?
mm,
When it's not, it's a liability, becomes a liability.
mm,
uh, and I know it takes a lot of buy-in and trust from stakeholders to make it happen, but
mm.
today with the level of technology we got supporting human decision, I don't see why companies shouldn't do that.
Okay.
It's a no brainer for me.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, perfect. And the technology is where automation, AI is already transforming procurement processes, right? But there's always a concern about losing the human touch or decision-making capabilities. Uh, Now, where do you see the balance between technology-driven procurement and the need for human judgment evolving in the next few years?
So I don't want to sugarcoat this,
Mhm,
Rohan. So technology is already better than us at transactional work, like right, like approvals, like catalog buys,
mm,
data analysis, and so on. So many transactional things that you needed an army to perform before,
mm,
like checking boxes, right? But strategic calls, like choosing partners, the right partners, managing risk, negotiating complex deals, the whole resilience that I just mentioned,
mhm,
that requires, and that's always going to require a human judgment for me.
mhm,
The way I see the future is about combining both. Algorithms handle predictability, so and we need to leverage on that, right? But while humans on the other side, we do manage and handle ambiguity, right? So
Mhm.
that's a thing that, I mean, it's a win-win thing, you know.
Correct.
Everybody wins when we do the right way, when you use it the right way.
Correct, correct. And yeah, I like the way you said it, doing it the right way to get the desired results. Now, as emerging markets ramp up infrastructure and production, they face unique challenges in supply chain management, right? Even in the maintenance planning departments. What lessons from global procurement strategies can be applied to help companies in these regions to leapfrog some of these common pitfalls?
I think that depends a bit on how mature the
Mhm.
company and the organization already is on emerging markets, right? But I think one of the advantages we get in emerging markets is agility, right? Unlike developed markets, they aren't weighed down by legacy systems or
Mhm.
outdated processes, right? So that means they can learn from
Mhm.
models and mistakes already made in the past, right,
Mhm.
elsewhere, and start fresh with simplified digital models and more modern practice and technologies, right? Another advantage I see is speed. That's also driven by agility, but speed, right? Emerging markets, then we can pilot, we can pivot, and we can fix faster before we scale up things, right? Which often takes years in more mature organizations, right? So instead of trying to build everything in house, we can accelerate maturity by leveraging ecosystems, right? Like suppliers, shared services, technology partners, and
Mhm.
so on, right from the beginning, right? I think that's it.
Okay. Okay. And then in all of this, actually, data governance and reporting plays a very vital role, right? Although it is often cited as a barrier to the preventive procurement, especially because when information is scattered or inconsistent, it makes the whole process very challenging. So, what approaches can companies take to ensure that the data itself is reliable, actionable, without creating an additional layer of complexity to the business?
Okay, so I don't think that's rocket science, right? And I see a question in the Q&A. We can talk a bit about it later as well, but it addresses part of it. I think for me, it's you need to keep it simple, right? You need to standardize codes, clean up catalogs, integrate systems, but most importantly, you need to assign clear data ownership, right? So you
Mhm.
need to put governance in place to do that. Complexity it usually comes when you try to build advanced analytics on top of a weak
Mhm.
foundation, right?
Mhm.
First, get the basics right, and then you scale into
Correct.
predictive
Got it.
and preventive analytics.
Correct. Good, good, good. Thank you. Now, looking ahead, industries are dealing with new challenges, like smaller factories, to where it's they do have automation and data-driven maintenance. But how do you see preventive procurement evolving in the next 1 decade, and what skills and capabilities will the procurement teams need to stay ahead of the curve?
I think same as the whole procurement organization. I see it shifting from a reactive cost cutting function to a
Mhm.
proactive strategic driver of business value. And that transformation is going to be definitely fueled by AI and advanced analytics.
Mhm.
That's going to enable procurement to anticipate and mitigate risks before they happen. Then linked to that, you're gonna need a full reskilling of procurement teams, right? I
Mhm.
think data analytics, and I've been part of that discussion and Kraft Heinz. Data and analytics should be a foundational skill in everyone's organization's capabilities mandala. When we
Mhm.
talk about what are the core skills that we need to have in our teams, that's gonna be definitely one, right?
Correct.
So people they can develop the ability to use and interpret data
Mhm.
and also leverage AI tools for predictive insights, right? I
Correct.
think also something that's is there already, and we're gonna need more and more. Why we do that? Strategic communication, as teams will have to influence and build
Mm.
strong relationships with stakeholders, and risk expertise in order again to build resilient supply chains.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Now, finally, one question. I think you have shared a lot of insights, but then one step, which you can share, which procurement leaders can take immediately to start building preventive sourcing into their operations.
Okay, so that's gonna be very. I'm gonna be very practical on this one because
Mhm,
and people might call me crazy, I don't know, but I think spin analysis,
mhm,
spin analysis for me, I still get surprised when I see many companies don't have a structured approach to that. So start small. That's again basic. Start small, but start now.
mhm.
It might sound basic, but you can prevent what you can't prevent actually what you don't understand, what you don't know, right?
Correct.
A proper spin analysis provides the foundation for all proactive strategies that's gonna come after that, right?
Mhm. Okay. Uh, Now, this is an interesting one. What is that one piece of advice you had give your younger self stepping into the leadership role for the first time?
What was that? Or, sorry, didn't get the question.
What is that one piece of advice that you had give to your younger self when he's stepping into the
Okay,
leadership role
got it.
in procurement?
uh, be curious. You don't need to have all the answers on day one, but you do need to ask the right questions, and we have been seeing that especially with AI and with prompt engineering, that kind of stuff. So you still need to be able to ask the right questions, right?
Okay.
Also related to that, listen more, empower your teams, and build
Mhm.
solutions with them together. Try to something important for me as well, try to avoid telling people how things should be done, right?
Mhm.
One thing that I learned as well is diversity of thoughts brings innovation to the table. And again, leadership for me is like a marathon, and I am a
Mhm.
marathon runner. That's something that
Oh.
I do a lot. I like running. So you need consistency, resilience, and
Mhm.
long-term vision, right? It's not a
Mhm.
sprint. It's not a 100-minute
Mhm.
sprint. It's not about sprinting to quick wins, but about
Got
finishing
it.
strong and bringing others together with you in that journey.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. That's excellent. I see we have about 3 minutes to schedule time, so maybe we take a couple of questions. We see some
Sure.
questions coming in. Let me uh, bring the first one in. Okay, so when you mentioned the inventory issues like duplicate items and other problems, it got me curious. Uh, was it identified through a BI tool or something similar? So that was, I think, when you identified the duplicate inventory at ABI days, right? It's a question for you.
So yeah, initially we identified that during that those maintenance planning calendars that I mentioned, right? So when we would go and tackle how we would prepare for that, how we would source the materials and make them available in the right amount of the quantity that we needed in inventories, we saw that was a problem, right? And that started repeating itself as we moved on, right? So
Mhm.
uh, we identified there was a problem. So we do have a lot of duplicated or multiplicated codes here for the same materials. There's a
Mhm.
lot of materials that are lacking in our inventories. There are a lot of materials that are obsolete here and they're idle. They're not moving right. So, uh, but there was a big, it was a big inventory. If
Mhm.
I recall correctly, and I can mention ABI, we were talking about, I don't know, 200 to $300 million inventory, where again 30% of that was idle or obsolete.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
and then we saw the need to use a tool, right? Initially we didn't have great BIs develop it. We're just starting talking about SharePoint and cloud and those kind of BIs that you have tools for now. But there are plenty of tools in the market. Verdantis is also one that can support. There's a lot of solutions that Verdantis brings to help and support cleansing and governance. But yeah, I would recommend first you identifying the problem and then looking for a more professional and specialized solution in the market.
Sure. Thank you, Marcio, and thank
Just to
you,
finish it
Janet.
off, sorry. And then again, guys, it's not only about cleansing. You need to have governance established after you do that. Otherwise, in I
Hmm.
don't know 1 year, 2 years from now, you're gonna repeat the problem.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you for that, and thank you, Janet, for that question. So, think we are about time. Thank you again, Marcio. The insights and the energy you bring, and helping us see how thoughtful sourcing can drive real long-term value in is it's really exciting. Uh,
Nice,
for
nice. Rohan,
everyone.
again, thank you very much for the opportunity of being here. Really enjoyed this chat with you.
Mhm.
And if anyone else has other questions that we didn't have any time to answer here, don't hold back yourselves into reaching out. I'll be glad to chat.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Perfect. For everyone listening, I hope the conversation sparks new ideas on how you can take preventive procurement from theory to action. Do share your success stories, and how they strengthen your organization. We look forward to connecting again on the next episode of Thought Leadership. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Bye now. Thank you, Marcio. Bye now.